Been a while. Welcome back to the channel. I'm starting off the new year doing something a little bit different. Over here we have this hanging resin wall art that I had originally planned out as coasters, but I wanted to do something a little bit more unique. So I added crushed glass and pearls to the resin instead of just using alcohol ink. And they came out so nice, I almost felt like they were just wasted as coasters, and I wanted to do some kind of wall art with them. And because I had a lot of them, I was able to, by luck, stumble across these at the dollar store. And they cost nothing but pennies. And they're the same size as the coasters. And all you have to do is wet the stickers on them with a little bit of water and use a bristly brush to scrub the stickers off of them. And once you've done that, you get this. And I'm using my blow dryer here to dry that off a bit because some of the water did seep through and get onto the actual wood. They dry pretty quickly. Unfortunately, the file I had for when I was wetting the stickers and scrubbing them off got corrupted, and I'm very annoyed at that, but there's nothing much I can do for it. It's just lost. But if you've ever scrubbed a sticker off of anything, it's pretty much the same principle. Now that I've got them mostly dry, and I love having this new doorway in my art room, I have more bench space to work with. These are mostly dry. Some of this might actually not be moisture, it might be stained, but if that happens, that's okay. I'll show you what you can do. Because we're going to paint at least one of these. I already had one of these resin, I guess this would have been a coaster. It comes shaped like a stained glass, but there are so many resin makers and resin artists that are doing coasters now, and I'm just trying to get a little bit more creative here. So you can see here, yeah, I have these that I already made a while back. I really like how they came out. I think I used a little bit of alcohol ink that I dropped in the resin, along with, you can see, I'm going to bring it real close, some glitter. So this has already been made, and this is what I love about these in particular. They just so happen to be the perfect size to mount these on. And I'm thinking, because of the way the backdrop looks with it's a little bit hard to show you when it's not glued down. Which, by the way, we're going to be using an adhesive to actually attach these. Don't use any weak sauce stuff like just don't use a glue gun, just no. I've seen that happen with other artists, and it's just a tragedy every time. I actually kind of like the way the brown backdrop looks on this one, so I'm probably not going to do anything to this, except I'm just going to attach the resin to these. And I'm just going to try to show you before it's glued down what it's actually going to kind of look like. So I've got 3 of those of that pattern, and for a while I wasn't sure what I was going to do with them. I liked them, but I didn't have plans for them, and I think they're just perfect for this project. In fact, if this becomes popular, I might do a lot more of the sort of stained glass type to make these too. I have this one here as well, but I only have one of these. And this one I am going to probably end up painting white, actually. I want a white background. Alright, now for the one that got a little bit stained, we are going to paint that one white. Because while the brown background, Let me untie my tongue for you. The brown background worked really well for the black, green, and kind of gold-ish sort of color. I thought it complemented it well, but for something like this, for example, and I'm not saying that we're going to be using this one, I would think would go better with a white background. And I think that the thing we're going to make next is probably going to go better with the white background. So we've got a pearlescent kind of white paint, and as you can see, I put a little bit of water in here, not much. Because if you've worked with acrylics and paint at all ever, in your art classes or just casually at home, you know that you gotta not let that paint get too thirsty. And this, if you're curious about what I've used, is what we're working with here. So now for this next one, we are going to make our own resin pieces for it. I'm going to show you my process for actually doing that, because I don't believe I've ever done a video yet where I showed myself working with alcohol ink and resin. I've just in the past done mica powder when I'm painting for the figurines and stuff. I'm careful here so I don't get any on those beads. I'm gonna have to definitely put a second coat of paint for these, but that's okay. I just happened to, when I was cleaning up my art room, found those other two pre-made and wasn't selling them, wasn't doing anything with them, and I was like, well, they fit just like the other ones fit. It'd be too much of a shame to let them go to waste. Definitely don't want to let them go to waste. And I like to use, when I'm doing something like this, one of these very edged brushes. It's easier for me to paint that in a circle and also get it just where I want it to go and not on any of these beads. It's really good for catching your edges, that kind of brush. Let's see, I'll let that go. And I'm doing this video on New Year's Eve because I'm a glutton for punishment. And because I know I haven't put out a full length video in a while. It's been kind of hectic with the holidays and other stuff going on, but I really wanted to do a video on this because I think it's one of the cooler ideas that I've had for making something that isn't a coaster. Anyone can make a coaster. Not to say that I haven't seen many impressive ones, but I know that lots of people, myself included, like to see if there's something else we can't use. And I feel like a lot of the things that I see get sold at my local festivals are usually wall art. I have to do a few coats of that. I may have to let that dry a little bit. Fun story, I actually ended painting over the silvery pearl with the titanium white because it just looks better. And now we get to the fun part. We've got our crushed glass. We've got our beads. Got the alcohol inks that we'll be using. Whoops. Usually don't choose more than 3 alcohol inks for this, but you can do more if you want. But let's pour our resin. Don't want to put these over full, because remember, we're going to be putting beads and we're going to be putting crushed glass, and that is going to make the volume of the liquid rise a little bit. The last thing you want to deal with is you start to work on this and then it overflows on you. And also notice that all of my surface area here is covered with wax paper, very important if you want to protect and not damage your surfaces. Now I'm just going to scrape the very last bit of this out. So we want to get the most we can out of our resin. I'm not feeling sure. I might have to mix a little bit more for that third one. It's looking a little less voluminous than the others. But we can go ahead and start the first 2 regardless. So I'm going to start by adding the beads in. There's not much method to this madness. I don't try to put them in any one particular spot. In fact, I find the less you try to focus on what you're doing and where you're placing them, actually the better they come out. That's just me. But I did grab an abundance of the larger ones, and I'm having to scrape the bottom of my can here to try to get some of the smaller ones. And what I'm doing here is I'm spritzing a little bit of alcohol on the surface because that'll pop some of those small bubbles. Not that I see many of them, but I'm just taking precautions. And now we're going to start adding in our crushed glass pieces. And again, there's no scientific method to this. Just drop the pieces and let them fall where they may. The more random it is, the better, honestly. I'm just going to grab a little bit more. I'm already liking the way this is coming out, and it's not even finished. And now I'm just going to take my plastic knife here, and if you don't like the way something fell, or you feel like it needs to be spread out a little bit more, you can just use the knife. Now we get to some fun. Let's drop in some white splotches of alcohol ink. I'm going to put the white down first because I'm going to drop the second color on top of that. And you can see it's already making this really nice, almost stained glass looking effect in and of itself as it chemically reacts with the resin. I'm going to drop my gold on top. And yes, by the way, I am wearing a mask. Always wear your mask when you're working with resin. Even safe resin. Protect your lungs. And that is looking gorgeous. Yeah. I know that I harp on the mask and glove things, but it's because I don't want to see anyone develop contact allergies. That's awful. But there we go. And I'm probably going to be off to mix a little bit more resin because that third one is, I don't know if you can tell from the video, but it's not completely covering the beads and we want them submerged. So I'll be back in a tick. And just like that, my future self has arrived with a new batch. We're just going to pour that on top. And I think we're probably going to have a little bit extra of our resin pieces, but that's all right. Anything you don't use makes a perfectly fine coaster or is just an auxiliary art material that you can use for a rainy day for something else. I'm just gonna pour that. Looks like we are gonna pull 2 more of these out of this actually. Let's see how this is coming out. Well, this popped out pretty easy. Wow. Hold this more in front of the camera. That is nice. Very nice. Could have almost used more crushed glass, honestly, but not bad at all. It's the first time I use those colored beads, too. I'm gonna go ahead and set that one to the side. It does have a little bit of a lip here, but it'll be easy to sand down. Actually, I don't need to sand these down because they're gonna be glued onto something anyway. Oh, nice, very nice. Actually, I'm very excited that this came out so well. So we do have one extra than what we need, but I would honestly rather to have more than less, because I can choose my favorite ones. I love how these are very shiny. I really do love the Beast Bond resin that I use to make these kind of crafts, because I live in a very hot climate and you want resin that will come out smooth and shiny but can also stand up to the heat, and these do. Not that I would recommend putting your resin items outside, because a lot of them do tend to yellow with sun exposure. They have some brands that claim to be immune to that, but I don't know. Kind of skeptical myself. But this will make a wonderful either coaster or what we're going to be using it for presently. That one also came out really good. Perfect. So I'm going to set these over here to the side. I'm going to move my mold. And actually, now that I've moved my mold, before we start to assemble the other one, let's go ahead and take a look at how this one's holding up. It appears to be holding up well. Let's hang this delightful item and get a better look at what it's doing. Yeah, that's holding together great. And as predicted, the cardboard wood backing. I don't know why I keep saying cardboard, maybe because it's the color of cardboard, but that wooden backing there really has warmed up this piece, and it really just has come out delightful looking. I may have to do more of the version that have the stained glass effect on them, because this is gorgeous. All right, we're in the final phase of this at last. Got all of our paint dry. Now we're going to apply the adhesive. And I'm making my decision on which ones I wanted to choose for this. And this is what I chose, these ones. And as you can see, it looks very different when you have a white background. It really adds some brightness to the overall piece. Whereas you can see with our previous one, it was a much warmer sort of effect with the brown back. But now we've got this titanium white. It's gonna be really awesome. Let me just get my, don't want my adhesive leaking out of there. I think I'm gonna put this one in the center. There. And the last one. There we go. Very excited because I know that by tomorrow I'll be coming back up here to film the finished result. It's not going to take more than overnight, really, for this to be done. Very excited. And I think that really came out well with the pearlescent beads and the titanium white background. You just double check, make sure these are all sticking on here good the way I want them to. And now we wait until tomorrow and we come back and we see our handiwork. Capper adhesive. And as expected, it's hanging in there nicely and it came out beautifully. I really love the color scheme and the beads I chose for this one. If you've stuck with me this far, like and subscribe. My channel's still growing and it'll really help. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next art story.